Monday. I am the governor of college football. Yes, sir. The mayor of college football, a.k.a. Downtown Nino Brown. Yes, sir. Welcome to another marvelous episode of Overreaction Monday. I am the governor of college football. And with me is a guy that needs no introduction, the mayor of college football, Downtown Nino Brown. Nino, what's happening, Playboy?
A day late. I'm sorry. Comcast was not feeling it yesterday. Had a power outage for the internet, so we're here today on Tuesday. But I'm excited. It's closer and closer and closer to actual, college football. It seems as though it ended and spring came super quick, and now the portal is back again. It seems to be live and in charge. So I'm excited for this episode. I'm kind of excited for UCF. I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. Scotty Frost back again, huh?
Yeah. We're gonna talk about a few teams with coaches that having second stints at those programs. We got a bunch of spring game previews to get into for this upcoming weekend. But before we get into that, I think we've opened with this segment probably the last 3 weeks. And I think we're just so excited to think about in a moment where so many teams are pulling away from the idea of having a spring game, the idea of giving away intel about, what their system may look like, or to have, their sixth string or seventh string wide receiver have 4 catches. And then, now other schools are in their inbox. But there's supposed to be a game, I don't want to call it a preseason game, but kind of a spring game, preseason game. And it was, Syracuse and Coach Fran Brown, they were going to travel to Boulder, Colorado to play, Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. And it's been denied by the NCAA, even though the NCAA will look into allowing this in the future. They do have another meeting on April 10th. And while I don't believe that's going to change anything, how you feeling about this? Like this is a huge letdown for me. I was excited about it. I was super excited to see it. I think I was more excited to see the practices and that type of atmosphere in the spring, probably more than I was excited to see the game. How you feeling about this?
First of all, this is probably the only time in the last 7 years that I kind of agree with the committee here.
Mm-hmm.
For the simple fact of what they led with wasn't minutia bullshit. They weren't trying to cover their ass. It was pretty much, it just wasn't fair to other teams. 60% of schools are almost done with spring camp or concluded their spring game or showcase or whatever. So now they don't get the opportunity to, if there was, to play against another team or whoever it may be, they don't get that opportunity. And it kind of would be rushed in a short amount of time. So I kind of get that aspect of it. But Fran's Fran, and I love how he responds. You know what I mean? Damn well wasn't going to let Coach Prime or Fran Brown be the first ones to do that. Bodies. And then real quick, he was like, I'm joking. Don't be calling my AD trying to get me fined or suspended. But you said there's another meeting, right?
April 10th.
They already said what that meeting is for. That meeting is for next season. They're not saying they don't want this to happen. They just want to fine-tooth comb it. You know what I mean? One guy has it, and now 47 other programs want to do it too. So if they're going to make it open to all schools, I guess this kind of has to be, they learned their lesson, I guess, by this NIL, right? So they want to make sure that they have, groundwork set in place, probably so they can get a little bit of their hands on the money of the game.
Of course.
What I mean?
Yeah, everything in this sport go through television. So,
but you're looking at, Syracuse against Colorado.
ACC,
who's going to televise that game? Is it ACC?
Right.
Is it Big 12? Who gets the rights? Do they split that 50-50? Well, why is it 50-50 if we're paying them this amount and this? You know what I mean? So I think that all has to get worked out and stuff. They're probably going to have now they'll bring up a contract for teams to pick up the spring games, right? Oklahoma State said let's do Bethlehem as a spring game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I think is great because programs are going different directions, right? And different, different conferences, and they can't have this anymore. But why not have that? Why not have change Army Navy to not spring, but maybe be the first game week 0,
right?
You know what I'm saying? There's ways that they can fix it. I think to make the inter team spring game
Mhm.
scrimmage. I think that there has to be a little bit of time where people have to figure things out. Uh, but he was throwing some shots out there. Maybe if Bill O'Brien and Bill Belichick had brought it to the league, they might have said, "Yeah." But that's Fran being Fran, and I
Right, right.
understood
We all know, friend.
but he also said he understood, what they were,
Mhm.
why they had denied it, and they weren't. And he made it seem as though they were rude about it. He said it was at a time limit. They were very good with communication and everything. So, like I said, for the first time in over 5 to 7 years, I actually kind of
Mhm.
agree with the outcome that the committee came up with.
So, I understand the outcome that they came up with, but I guess where I'm taken aback a little bit is you look at a team like Liberty, their spring ball practice has been over. Like you know what I'm saying? They did their spring game what first week of March? They did their
Yeah,
spring game, and some teams are having at the end of the day, everybody's fall camp is going to start around the same time. So even if this thing had to get pushed to the last week, of the spring season, like I don't see why this couldn't have been done. But I believe that it was truly more cosmetic issues, like you addressed earlier, like who hosted,
who
how
gets the
did we go
money?
with how we go with the money, and like I don't know, I feel like when you have a radical idea, and this is college football is a very like everybody kind of wants you to go with the grain, kind of go with the way that the sport has worked. And of course, name, image, and likeness has changed the good old boy trajectory that the sport has had for a very long time.
Mhm.
Because we saw like prior to this, a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but some of these players were being abused because they knew that if they were going to leave, they were going to have to sit out that red shirt year, and it probably messed up their 3 or 4 year plan that they had.
Right.
So a lot of times they had to eat crow with this. So while I do love what the game is, and maybe it was just a year away, and maybe it's the selfish part of me as a college football fan.
It was exciting.
Yeah,
It was
it
different.
was yeah, it was something that was so new. Like, and I've been, during the off season of college football, I worked during the weekend, so more than likely I'd have probably missed it, but I'd have caught it. Of course, I would have recorded it, but I'd have been so excited to see something like that.
Hey, and I'm not saying it would have happened, but say
Mhm.
it was Colorado and Colorado State wanted to have a scrimmage for
Right.
spring game. They may have allowed that possibly because there's
Because
no
of the
travel.
locale.
It's not a thing that they have to, kind of, work out with flight travel and all that
Right.
stuff. But I probably don't think that would have happened either. It's
Mhm.
just they have to have the hands in it. They want to
Oh,
be
of
the ones that
course.
direct it.
Mhm.
And yeah, Liberty is one of those teams that's done early. You know what I'm saying? And so is Hawaii. But
Right.
what's is there a P4 school that's done already? Or a P4 school that's on the brink of being finished? Because
Mhm.
all it would take was that team to
Right.
complain, right? Through anonymous email.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It may not be the Liberties, but they don't want to go down that road because all it takes is one, the domino falls, and then here we
Yeah.
go, right? Like so again, it was to kind of nip it in the bud.
Mhm.
Yes, it may get a little bit of raw from us for about a week or two,
Right.
but they would have got a lot of kickback from other powers that be all the
Right.
way up until the season started and probably
They
carried on.
yeah,
So
they would've. They would.
I,
It's especially if,
yeah,
these teams started out hot, they feel like it's a competitive advantage.
they were
But,
able to
I don't deem it that way, because all teams still have fall camp. If, fall camp is still a few months out. But,
but
I
now they're going to allow both. See, that's the thing. Now you're going to be
mhm.
able to play inter team
Now, I
scrimmages
don't
in
think that
spring and
should
fall.
happen during fall camp because,
Right. So even though they have
uh,
fall camp, so those teams would be
mhm,
out of being able to have that opportunity.
right.
So that's why I feel like they just wanted to nip it in the bud. But like,
I probably
we'll
wanna
put you guys on the
take their
same playing
time with it.
field. Everybody's on the same playing field at the same time. Then you guys want to do it next year and figure it out. Figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be brilliant. I think this is gonna start a new wave where we may get, 10 of these spring games. And I don't care what level it's at. I don't care if it's Division 2, if it's on television I'm watching. I don't care if it's, P4, G5, whatever. I just want to see people compete this early in the, in the process.
Yeah, but now instead of having that, I mean, I'm not saying that was a good game, North Dakota
Mhm,
State, Colorado last year, but say you
mhm,
take South Dakota State, or
mhm.
one of those other FCS, FBS schools go against each other in a spring game. You know what I mean? So for me, it's always get rid of the cupcakes, bro.
Right.
If you want to put the games on the schedules for the schools to benefit financially, the local schools to get themselves, on television where they wouldn't normally. Let's do it, in the spring. Alabama A&M versus Alabama, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't need that week 1.
Right. I see what
Nobody
you're
needs
saying.
65-10. You know what I mean? Week 1. We're all trying to
Do it,
figure out
do it
who's
during
going
the
to be.
spring.
Ty Simpson's going to look great against Alabama
Oh
A&M,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Going to
And the
go for
media
370
would
and
have ate that
7.
up. Yeah,
Right. So
just like with Blake Shapen last year in Starkville
you
during
see what
his
I'm saying?
spring game.
So
Yeah.
let's eliminate that from the real schedule.
hmm
Let's put that in the spring game and
Do you think we could see a program that maybe have 2 spring season games, like maybe one against a lower level competition and maybe a higher level competition to close it out? I think it gets
why
interesting,
not
and it's
have all of spring that way?
right. That would be dope. I
If
mean,
you guys want to do 2 and 3, that fills up
right,
this 5-6 weeks.
right.
God bless you.
And you're
You know what
still
I'm
far
saying?
away enough for the season. Of course, the ACL will be, rough. But if somebody were to have an injury, you still got time for that
But
that
that
person to heal
is
before the season hits.
against your own squad.
Right, right,
You
right.
see it happen already. Like, who's homeboy in Texas, right? Is a wide receiver. Texas got a hamstring injury. They're shutting him
Mm,
down for the rest of the spring. So it's like
yeah, right.
it happens.
Yeah,
I get hit by a car walking out my door. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I can't control the future. Ugh. But I think it'll happen. I think they'll be within 6 to 10 months. They'll come up with their own decision.
Wow. Wow, that certainly will be interesting. But let's get into some of these spring game previews. Rich Rodriguez, second stint with the Mountaineers, has officially begun. This upcoming weekend, we'll see that gold and blue showcase. What are some of the positional battles you'll be monitoring, and how you think the Mountaineers offense will look the second time around under Rich Rod?
Well, really quickly, I mean, the second time around is going to look like it's looked like since he's left them. He came from Jacksonville State, right? 400 plus yards offensively, 251 yards on the ground. He had a quarterback and a running back both go over 1,300 yards each, and they had 40 touchdowns on the ground. This is what he does, right? He does that up-tempo, no huddle, run heavy, spread option offense.
Yep.
This is what he does. Bunch of motion. We saw it with Pat White and Steve Slayton. Well, Pat White's back, and so's Noel Devine. So he's bringing back guys who are familiar with the style of offense that he ran with them, right? And to boost this, but the problem is he's voices concerns a little bit, and people kind of take it back. Oh, I don't think he's voices. He's not bitching about NIL. All he said was depth. And I think that's a little bit of an issue to be concerned about here. With you return 2 starters on both sides of the ball. That's it. Yeah. That's it. I'm not the return and production guy, but you're looking at like all new people in new spots. Right off the rip with a whole new coaching staff. I wonder what's going to happen with the quarterback department, right? Like I think Nico Marcoli should win that role. He played well for them last year in a couple of games, 66%. He had almost 500 yards total. But they bring in the transfer from Charlotte and Max Brown, and then they bring in the Texas A&M kid, Jalen Henderson. We didn't do anything last year, but he did some. He was productive in 2023. So it's kind of like right now, I think it's wide open, to be honest with you. But who seems to be the more mobile guy, right? Who's going to be the guy that can play that options type quarterback role, right? Read option in that motion and get these guys going. I just don't know. It's really difficult to see who's going to be more of that guy. I mean, I guess Henderson would be more of that mobile guy, right?
Yeah,
but he had a whole year off, so we'll have to see there. Wide receiver, the X position, right? We like Rodriguez in this offense and what they does with the X receiver. They're bringing 2 transfers, and I think they're both similar in style of play. Cam Vaughn and Cyrus Trout. One comes from Youngstown State. So Youngstown's going to be obviously the lower level competition, and then you get Jacksonville State following his coach, right? So I think
already
he kind of has
the system.
Yeah, it already kind of has the upper hand. I think they're already, had 800 yards last year for them, for Jacksonville State, 5 touchdowns. This dude is a contested catch, dude, 10 for 15, right? You're looking at like almost 67% when it goes up top, and he's a certified chain mover. But the numbers are similar to Cyrus, just in a small aspect. You know what I mean? Like, had 36 receptions, 409 yards, 5 touchdowns. But again, chain mover, 25 first down. So look, they're similar guys. I think Vaughn has the upper hand, but can this kid Cyrus come in there and kind of push him and kind of,
Mhm.
make it so he has to get himself on the field, whether it's on the opposite side of the ball or wherever it may be. And then, you know, they brought in, they got Jaden Nixon, right? No, the Jaden Nixon, I'm sorry. That's UCF. They brought in a couple of guys that are lower end running backs that I think could be battling out for the 2 spot.
Mhm.
LJ Turner from Catabauer, right? And this is a guy who rushed for almost 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns. Set the single season record over there for them. And then you got Ty Edwards, Northern Iowa transfer. Another dude. Good luck tackle. Over 40 plus missed tackles last year. Had 1,100 yards. Only had 6 touchdowns. So I think these 2 guys here, I want to see who's going to be battling out here for the 2 spot, right? Over there. It'll be interesting because we've seen a lot of these guys come up over the years, especially at South Carolina. They take a lower level guy, bring him in. All of a sudden, he does well, right?
Blossoms. Yep.
Right. Who's the gentleman who was in South Carolina, went to Memphis the previous year? Last season he was in Memphis. He was in South Carolina before that. I'm drawing a blank right now for some stupid reason, but we've seen it happen. These guys come in. So I want to see who out of those 2 guys will battle for that spot. But it's going to be the same story you're seeing from Rich Rod. It's going to be Rich Rod 2.0 out in West Virginia. He showed you when it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, talks like a duck. I don't think that you would imagine that it's going to be a rabbit, right? So
Mario Anderson.
Yes, Mario Anderson. Yes, he came in off FCS, right? With South Carolina, almost 1,000 yards. Transferred over to
Memphis.
The kid from Missouri, the previous year, white boy, running back from Missouri, went for like 1,300 yards. He came from FCS school too. Both of those guys.
We see that happen a lot. Actually, they dominate at the FCS level or the G5 level, and then they go up, and you like, well, who's this kid?
I can't think of the kid from Missouri, but it was 2 years ago. It was same time, same year. But so we've seen it happen. I think those kids will battle. And hey, who knows? Maybe they earn themselves a little more playing time than we originally thought that they were going to have. So it'll be interesting to see what happens out there. Because RB1 is obviously white.
Right.
He's probably going to be top 5. There's a good chance that White is top. But we see with Rich Rod, they like to run a couple backs. See, it's not just one guy taking all of it.
Right.
Like, when Slayton was there, Noah Devine was there with Slayton, right? At the end of Slayton's career, Devine took over. And then who was the gentleman that was with Noah Devine? Because they always had a 2-back system where they just kind of just sprouted. I know if Finau's watching, he's like West Virginia dude. He always comes up with them crazy guys.
Who's there after Steve Slayton left? Because Noel Devine wasn't the every down.
No, he was the change of pace type.
Yeah, he was. I cannot remember, bro. It's crazy.
They've always run 2 guys. That's what he likes to do. So
and he gets the wide receivers involved in the run game as well.
Yeah, motion there all over the place. You're gonna get them, and you're gonna get them screens. You're gonna have these guys are gonna get catches out of the backfield as well. One of these guys is gonna have to step up and be the 2, right? So you're gonna get one of these FCS guys that's gonna come in and all of a sudden make an impact. So which one of these dudes is gonna do it for me? Obviously, the biggest battle outside of the wide receiver room is the quarterback. We need to see who's gonna be the leader of the team. Can having a year removed, and learning, in the SEC, can Henderson kind of take over the room? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, if you look at his skill set, I think his skill set fits best with what Rich Rodriguez wants to do when you're talking about that dual threat option or somebody, who can be a home run hitter as a runner from that quarterback position. I'm just interested to see how well this go. I think Rich Rodriguez's journey, like, if you look at the trajectory he was on, like, when he first left Morgantown, you was like, this guy's going to be a big deal. Because the spread option was kind of...
Yeah, he hit a wall.
It had taken the sport by storm, and then like you said, it hit a wall. People start figuring it out. And I think that's because more NFL teams are trying to figure out how to stop it as well. So I feel like he's back home, and so sometimes it's good being back home. I'm interested to see what this game looks like.
Better bring him 4 shirts a game. 4 shirts again because he was sweating it out in
Yeah.
Jacksonville State.
Yeah, he was.
Everything we knew about
Mm-hmm.
Rich Rod is still true. So he gonna be sweating it out in Morgantown again. But like I said, I have Jaheim Moy as a top 5 back because I think in that system he's just gonna go off.
Yeah.
Right. So one of those kids one of those FCS transfers has to, fill that role as a 2 spot, just like Noah Devine did, just like back,
Right.
previously.
And that 2 spot can mean 125 carries. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
But I don't see one of these
Right.
guys at quarterback going for 1,300 yards like Tyler Huff did in Jacksonville State last year. So
Right.
if he goes for half, say it's
Mhm.
Nico or Henderson, he goes for 600, right?
Mhm.
Well, somebody's got to make up that other 750. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like
Right.
they average, like I said, 200 plus yards on the ground, 400 yards of offense. So this is what he does. That's what he's always done.
Rich Rodriguez, man, I'm so happy he's back in Morgantown. Let's go ahead and talk about this next. I don't know if we call it a spring game. I mean, it's definitely a spring situation. I guess we'll call it. I guess we'll call it a practice. But speaking of second stint, Scott Frost is back in Sunshine State in Orlando as UCF is hosted. Not quite a spring game, but 2 open practices for the public. So, Nino, I got a couple questions for you. What do you expect in Scott Frost's second stint with the Knights, and how will it be different, this time around? Because last time they were a G5 program. Now they're a P4 program. How does that look? Also kind of going off script a little bit here. We saw in Lincoln that he didn't run a tidy program at all. It was lack of discipline. Do we see him being removed from the game, watching the game? And of course, there's some catching up to do because, he wasn't technically away from the game, but he was away from the game. Do you think he'll run like a tighter ship his second time around with the Knights?
Yeah, over here is more rainbows and peaches. You gotta remember, he had that undefeated season.
He did
over here, so
they were calling themselves the national champions, which is hilarious.
So, and that was 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So that I know it was 7 years ago, 8 years ago, but it's still something that they hold cherished to now, and he's coming back to that. So I think you're going to get the same UC fast, bro. UCF fast, like what he was when he was there before. They're going to try to do the same thing, timing, motion. I don't know if that worked when he was in Lincoln, and I don't know if, how do I say this? All the players at the table playing dominoes knew what they were doing.
Right.
And maybe there was guys that was slipping other people dominoes to win hands, because I don't know if Frost and the powers that be were seeing eye to eye with Everton. And I think once things went down south, they kind of just pushed him out there to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, he was a fall guy.
They gave him, in the second time around, they gave him a 5-year deal. So I think that last season in Nebraska, UCF don't give a shit about. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're still kind of running off that 2017 vibe. We like you. We were happy with you. Gus was here, and things were okay for a little bit, but it wasn't anything like crazy. But he comes in, the whole left side of the line from the center position over, revamped. You know what I mean? All bringing in all new faces, transfers. His whole wide receiver room revamped, all coming in from the portal. And I'm sorry, but some of these guys don't really have much experience. So they're going to need to rely on the Wyoming transfer and Jaden Nixon at the running back position. 1,200-yard runner. This kid's going to be the dude for them, right? This is another place where I'm kind of like, can Stacey Gage, the second year, redshirt freshman, can him, or is it going to be Taven Swint, the freshman? Who's going to be the dude that's going to be the guy? Because again, with Scott Frost, it's not just the one guy running. He brings in more than one back in his offense. I wanted him to break out last year as a freshman. I talked to my guy Michael Anthony about it because he's a UCF fan. I thought Brett Richardson was going to take off. He had the red shirt. Obviously, 2 gentlemen in front of him. One was in the Senior Bowl, right? One is now trying to make it to the league. Those Kobe Hudson is the guy I'm speaking about. And I forget the other guy on the side of him, but they've been there for a while. They were starters. He couldn't break the ice. So I think against DJ Black, a guy who had trouble breaking the ice at South Carolina, 0 receptions in 3 years. I'm pretty sure that this young man is hungry, and I have a feeling that we're going to be hearing a lot about Braydell Richardson in the Zeus position, wide receiver for UCF. So I want to see that battle. I want him to just take off. This little showcase for the fans, this is going to be like a little Ole Miss type deal. I'm not expecting us to get anything out of this. I just want to see what the outcome is at the end of the spring when it comes to that position there. And then obviously the quarterback. I mean, we're throwing dots at a board here. Another offense that needs a mobile quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Tavian Jackson has had trouble fitting in anywhere he's gone. This is looking at his third team. When Indiana needed somebody before Curtis Rock was there, he wasn't the guy. He had, 5 interceptions to 1 touchdown. So I don't know. He is a mobile guy, but Cam Fancy is the guy that I'm kind of leaning towards. Even though I really like Dylan Risk, I think he got the shit into the stick last year with that. He went against Arizona State, right? Risk and Arizona in back-to-back games, right?
Wow.
Okay, he went. Both games went over 250 yards, right? But in the Arizona's game, he threw 3 picks, no touchdowns. Arizona State game, I'm sorry, he had 3 picks, no touchdowns. In the Arizona game, they won, blew Arizona out. He threw 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 260 something, and then they benched the kid after that. Never got a chance again. Like,
right.
Well, what for lack of a better, like, what the hell, dude? Like, come on, this kid had talent. Granted, he was a top 100 quarterback in the class. I'm not saying he was, 5-star, but he showed you what he could do against 2 ranked teams. Yeah, he got his face kicked in against ended up being a top 6 team in the country by the end of the year. Now, Cam Fancy, who went to Marshall, another kid who got booed by his fans in the school, so transferred from Marshall to FAU, not crazy, 2,600 yards. I think he had something around that combined between on the ground and passing, close to 60%. But he's more the mobile guy. I think he kind of fits that. But I think the last 3 seasons on the ground, he's had at least 260 plus yards and a handful of touchdowns. So I think he kind of fits that role in this type of offense. And then there's Ja'Cory Brown, the Miami kid. So it's just a full room, but I don't know anymore because I just, what we seen last year, who they were going to take at quarterback, whoever they felt was the flavor of the day. It didn't go by how you performed. It was how I was feeling that day when we showed up in the locker room. I mean, I know Frost there. I think there's going to be a tighter ship. I think he learned his lesson. And again, he's back somewhere where he's kind of wanted. They threw a 5-year deal off a guy who got fired and won what should have been left in Ireland that season.
Yeah, he should have been.
Yeah. So and they gave him a 5 years. So I think they're happy. I think that puts him in a better frame of mind. I don't think he's going to be complacent for a little bit. But he's got his work cut out for him because there's a lot of moving parts on this team.
Right.
But I think with the team, the offenses they run, I think everything's going to circle around Jaden Nixon, and they'll figure it out from there.
I feel like earlier in the season, I think return production. I think that helps you more in the meat and potatoes of the season, the middle of the season, and the end of the season. I feel like you have a unit that's been together, they play together, they know how to win together. I feel like to start the season off, you kind of wondering, hey, what is this team going to look like? I feel like it kind of gives both UCF and West Virginia a little bit of an advantage because, the tape that you've seen the last few years, you kind of
throw it out the window.
Yeah, you kind of got to throw it out. So you don't know who's who. And these coaches are smart. They're not letting out any intel,
Yeah.
Now the reporters and all of them, we'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? We'll figure out who will be the guy and all that, just like other programs will. But to kind of try to figure out what to expect, what is their first 15 going to be looking like? They can score 2 touchdowns within them first 15 plays. And you're like, hold the fuck up. We need to make adjustments now. So I think you kind of have an advantage early in the season. I just think that the RP helps later in the season and during the heart of your schedule.
My thing is with teams that are trying to figure out their identity early, I think it kind of helps when they're in this situation where they don't necessarily know the quarterback. So now you don't have that established wide receiver that needs to get his right off the rip. Right? You know what I mean? So there's no Kyron, and it's not saying this type of receiver was. There's no Kyron Lacey or Marvin Harrison Jr. that need to get
Yeah,
their
for sure.
7 to 12 targets. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or need those first couple targets in that first drive to get them going.
Right.
Where these guys can pick and choose. However, I'm just going on. I'll figure it out on the fly.
Right. The playbook is open. Let's look at these defenses. Let's look at a bunch of film. What is the percentages of the blitz on third downs and second downs on second and shorts? What are how are they playing the run gaps? That type of stuff. Like I said, I feel like you have an upper hand. If utilized correctly, and that's why we always see a team. I think early in the season, kind of come out the gates. Well, Arizona State. Where did this come from? Because you didn't really know what to expect. They moved from the Pac-12 and Kenny Dillaham's first year, then to the Big 12. Like I said, I think these teams early on in the season now they can continue to build their momentum.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. But Scott Frost is must see TV in 2022, boy. I made a lot of content off of Scott Frost in 2022, man.
Listen, I'll tell you something. Everybody in the industry is going to be making a lot of money off Scott Frost.
Mm-hmm.
If the UCF is relevant, because these are guys that we like to talk about. We like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right. We were hoping that last year. We were hoping, okay, Gus Malzahn, KJ Jefferson, RJ Hart. I could see there was a world where I could see, well, damn, maybe they can be they have a top 7 finish in the conference. I did not expect 4-8. I just didn't expect it. Not with the talent that they had.
I thought Scott Frost going that Ireland game. I thought they were going to get that W, and it was going to turn things around. He was going to come back home after that game, and it was going to be all right.
Right.
Black Knights, the black shirts or whatever, are back, and we're here to just reap havoc. And man, they struggled to let him on the plane. You know what I'm saying?
They did.
And he struggled to have a job for another couple weeks.
Yeah, he did. Like I said, that 22 seasons, peak college football. I love it. Alrighty, so let's get into our last game. Let's talk about a team. I think Clemson is really one of those programs that we all believe. I think we all at CFB Nation believe that this team can really take the ACC by storm this year. They're having their annual spring game on Saturday, and per usual, CFB Nation will be in attendance. High hopes for this program, like I said, this season. Who are the players to watch in this spring game?
Outside of Cade,
the usual suspects, right?
Yeah. This is a team that really doesn't have many positional battles at all. But for me, one guy is in the wide receiver room because outside of the three amigos, TJ Moore, Brian Wesco Jr., and Tony Williams.
I love their wide receiver core, by the way.
But they brought in this kid from JUCO, Semo, right? Tristan Smith. Like he was when he hit the portal, he was a top dude. He got, I think he had like 40 offers in a matter of like a week, and shows Clemson. I mean, this kid is a contested catch monster. He's a boundary dude. He had like 800 something yards last year. 7 So now you add, exactly. It's a big boy. You know what I mean? You're adding that into this group, right? And we don't even know what Randall's even going to play. Is he going to be in the running back depth chart? Is he going to be a wide receiver? Like, we have no idea. So their wide receiver room is stacked. But I want to see, like, this kid went there. They had to tell him he's going to get playing time, right? There's no way in hell this kid's going from with his last opportunity to make something of himself before the draft to boost his resume to go sit the bench. So I want to see how this spring into fall works out with this kid and Wesco. Wesco flashed last year. We saw him go off.
Wesco definitely flashed last year.
So they play the same position, but I want to see how he fights his way into this room because I think he had to been told that he was going to have an opportunity to get playing time, or else he wouldn't commit there. Again, we talked about him once before. Gideon Davidson in this running back room. Dabo's already talked about. He looks like he's a grown man already. The sledgehammer is still there, and Keith Adams Jr. But sometimes, how do I explain this? Sometimes you gotta eat shit, right?
Right.
Check your ego, and all of a sudden, a better product of you,
right?
Comes about. And when you can talk publicly about that, that puts you in a whole nother class of respect for me. And that's David Ezumuma, I think his name is. He was a 4-star freshman last year, redshirted. He kind of was under pressure. He was coming in there, and it was his job last year, right? He thought he was going to beat Phil, and he was going to take over that role. He struggled for playing time, right? The homeboy beat him out. The other freshman who is it, Haynes, who's suffering from an injury, so we probably won't
Mhm.
see him till at least mid-season, right? This kid, David Izumuma, oh boy,
Mhm.
he's my dark horse. I think there's a chance that he might get the early tick as RB1 before they fully unleash Gideon Davidson. I think this kid, from what I've been reading, what I've been reading from the beat writers, because they're not releasing everything, but
Of course.
he's been playing violent ball, and he looks like he is 180-degree different from what he was last year. Mindset, body
Wow.
construct. So usually, like I said, sometimes it takes a step back. I mean, humbled, and all of a sudden you get to be a better, picture of yourself. So that I want to see how he progresses from now until the end of fall camp and what we get to see here, because I think there's a good chance that he could really fight for that early season RB1 for Clemson. The Barrett Carter placement is here. I just want to see how he takes over now, being the guy that's going to carry that green dot and microphone on the defense is Sammy Brown. I mean, as a true freshman, I don't think other people understand. We talked about him in a mass moon multiple times on here. We've talked about him.
Right.
This kid's a psychopath when it comes to linebacker. He's your
He is.
prototypical linebacker. The motor doesn't stop. You can take the battery out of this kid's back. It still doesn't stop. I mean, 6'2", 255. The dude is just, 235, just flies around, right? Carries the boom, gets down quickly. As a true freshman, was third in the team in total tackles, right? But was first in the team in solo with 47. And when I say he was third, he was only 3 off. He had 80. The leader in the team had 83. Okay. He was second on the team in tackles for loss as a true freshman with 12. 12 tackles for loss as a true freshman. And he was second on the team in sacks with 5. Now Barrett Carter's going. He's the guy. Watch out. I want to see what Sammy Brown does this year, because if we just kind of follow this imaginary trajectory from high school, college, and what he did in year 1, we're looking at probably 100, 115 tackles, right? You're probably looking at somewhere between 65 and 70 solos. Bro, this guy could hit 15 to 20 tackles for loss. You might be talking about this guy for multiple defensive awards by the end of the year. And he could be a household name for across the whole country in the defense. Like everybody was talking about Hal Perkins a year or two ago when he came in. It could be the Sammy Brown show by the midseason here.
For sure.
So I want to see how the progression goes for Sammy Brown from year 1 to year 2. But man, there's not really much that you could talk that you have to really like look out for on this team, because like what are they, top 5 in return of production?
Yeah, number 1.
Number 1. All right. I mean, you go on defense outside of Held, right? Who's coming over from Purdue, who was an absolute sack monster and tackle for loss machine. The rich get richer. Like this was a cherished dude in the portal, and Dabo landed him. I guess we can't say shit no more.
Nah, we really can't. I think what I'm interested to see with this team is, will we see Garrett Riley fully unleashed? And if he's fully unleashed, I'm expecting a lot of 10 personnel. I'm expecting a lot of 11 personnel. I'm expecting us to see a lot of, Ace Wright 66, which is 4 verse. I'm expecting to see whoever is at running back, whether it's the kids you mentioned earlier, whether it's the Gideon Davis kid, can they put up those Kendre Miller type stats? Because when Kendre Miller ate, it came out of 10 personnel. It came out of 11 personnel. So I'm interested to see, like, is Dabo like, I trust you, brother. You got it. Is Garrett Riley with Cade Klubnik like, hey, you got it. In your helmet, I'm giving you 2 plays. You pick the best play and run turbo when you got to. That's what I'm interested to see with this program this year. Is it going to be fully unleashed? And, are they going to let Cade Klubnik cook? That's what I really want to see with this team this year.
I think they'll let him cook. I don't think you're going to see full TCU.
Yeah, you don't think so?
No, because they didn't. Max Dugan was running, bro.
Like, he was.
And this thing was like Max Dugan wasn't Max Dugan until that year.
He wasn't.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know. Cade has the mobility to him, but Cade's not the guy that's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
throwing shoulders
Right.
and diving for first time. He's going to slide, but he's only going to
Right.
do what he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. There's too many. How do I word? Too many of Dabo's guys
Mm-hmm.
that have been here for 3-4
I
years.
see what you're saying.
Dabo's way,
Mm-hmm.
where Dabo will let them just say, "Hey, if we lost it because I unleashed it and we didn't," you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
My bad. I don't think Dabo would give. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he would still
Mm-hmm.
want to have some. But I'll tell you this: if they give you 70% control offense to Garrett Riley, watch the fuck out.
Right.
This team's putting 35 up on a weekly basis at ease.
I'm expecting them to be in the top 12 in scoring this year.
Yeah, I think Kate Klubnik is your Kyle McCord, bro.
Yeah.
I think he's QB1. I think he goes for over 4,000 yards. Probably Dibbles gets close to 40 touchdowns. You know, because the way I look at it is you have a very young, inexperienced running room.
You
so
do.
early on, until you figure out who's the guy, you're going to rely on the fucking guy, which
Right.
is Cade, right? And we saw him last year. He was cooking, and he felt comfortable towards the end of the season. He was in his bag. Man, if him and Garrett have worked well in this offseason, watch out.
How you feeling about the tight end position? Because in the air raid, we all know that that tight end position is very important, especially when you start looking at the 94 wide cell and the 95 wide cross. The Y, of course, is the tight end in the air raid. Like how you feeling about the tight end position?
Well, they have athletic, tight end to fill in for Burningstone with Pat Henry.
Mm.
I mean, he didn't get much action last year, but he did get 10 carries, 10 receptions. But he found the end zone 3 times.
He did.
What I mean? So he is a red zone target.
Mm-hmm. He's definitely one of those vertical tight ends. For sure.
He's 240. That's what you want. You know what I mean? He's not playing much in line. He's going to be able to operate in that full vert, right, and spread it out. I think you could see the emergence of Pat Henry this year. But again, this room is also not a room that's quite inexperienced. They've been there, just haven't had the time. You know what I'm saying? Because they had a veteran guy in front of them that was cooking in Birmingham. I'm interested to see where Randall goes this year. Where he falls, like where his position is. You know what I mean? Because I heard there was rumors that they thought he could be a running back. They weren't sure what they were going to do with him.
Right. I remember you
looking at the depth shot. He ain't even on a depth shot, so he's kind of like he's Inspector Gadget. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure it out. But yeah, and another thing I want to know is because he doesn't hit the portal for the quarterback position, is it going to be Pearman or is it Vizina next? Who's next up? Will we ever get to see a little glimpse of that, like in blowouts? Right? Will it be the first guy he rolls out there is the guy he trusts the most, or is that something we have to kind of figure out as the season goes on?
I think that's going to be interesting, but we've seen kind of Dabo been able to recruit this position really well, so it will be interesting. Seeing Cade, like I said, I think we all have high hopes for Cade, and he should definitely be in New York on that second Saturday in December for the Heisman Trophy Award. I'm not sure that's not even a storyline that I've even thought about yet. But you've been a Debbie guy. I know you like who's next.
We saw there was like 1 or 2 games, I think, late. We saw Vizina, right? And then I think there was a game where we saw Pearman slightly. So it's like,
so that's something I'm definitely going to be monitoring, looking at. Who's the future of this program? Because they, like I said, Dabo has been blessed. Honestly, you look at his quarterbacks.
I don't know if it's blessed. It just he doesn't get enough credit for the work he does. I think.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, even if you go back to Taj Boyd, what was the kid name that ended up transferring? Kelly? Was it Kelly Bryant? Was it Kelly Bryant? He was
Boyd.
Yeah, it was that was after Deshaun. He had Boyd. I forgot who it was. It was Deshaun. Then after Deshaun, it was Kelly Bryant. But then Trevor Lawrence ended up taking over, and of course he had DJ.
Right.
And then of course we got Cade now. But yeah, like I said, he's
Kelly Bryant was in
yeah, it
17.
was Kelly Bryant, yeah.
Yeah.
And we all and a lot of us thought he was gonna be the dude, but when you get a hot shot like Trevor Lawrence, Trevor Lawrence ain't coming to just sit on the bench. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. You know,
But it's interesting how much their scheme has changed. When Dabo arrived back in '08, versus now they're running an air raid and they're running it very effectively, and they have the ability to power run out of the air raid, which is really difficult to do, and why a lot of programs and a lot of coaches stay away from it because it's such a pass oriented offense. But they're able to power run out of that spread.
and that is why I think they've all. If you look at all three backs, big bodied backs, bro. You
Right.
have to be able to protect the quarterback in that
Yeah.
position. Like with the way they run it, the way they
Right.
run that power
Mhm.
in that air raid system, you have
Mhm.
to be able to pass, bro. All three of those guys up front are big body guys, in that running
Right.
back room.
Right. So, like you say, it's in order to run the Knicks and Lakers, which is the inside zone, left and right in the air raid system, you you're gonna need some guys, some hog mollies up front that can block, and a home run hitter at running back. But all the air raid is a numbers game when you look at it. So I'm excited for this team. I don't even in a loss against Texas, and I know a lot of people look at that game. I look at that game, I was like, wow, they played a team who
Right.
I think coming into this season is the team. I know Ohio State, no disrespect to the team in Columbus, but I think that team in Austin is the team headed into this season. And the fact that they had opportunities that they just didn't, it showed me something. It truly did show me something. I'm like, this team can be dangerous this upcoming season.
One more year.
One more year? You think we're a year away?
No, Texas is one more year.
Texas is one more year? Yeah.
They win that national championship next year.
Mm.
I think Arch Manning is good, but I think Arch Manning has to and is doing the Eli Manning maneuver.
You think so?
Sit 2, play 2,
Mhm.
go to the pros. But they know it. Like, I think Arch knows it. Like, he knows he's good, but he knows there's things he's got to work on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And I think he wants this year to set that up. And then that second year is when he's going to say, okay, I'm
Yeah,
QB1, and everybody else in this class is fighting for
it's
whatever else.
no gadget plays. There's no series here, series there. Or if Quinn gets hurt, you are the guy. You gotta be able to deal with. The media's gonna be. The media and Austin don't play, bro. They gonna be critical. They gonna be very.
Quinn was
critical of
cool,
you.
right? Quinn could
Right.
deal with the media when he left
Right.
Ohio State, went to Texas. But when
Right.
he shit his pants at Texas, it was a different Quinn after that.
It was.
Right. He took him a little bit to figure out how to handle that Texas media.
Right. Yeah, because they talk ball football.
And the Mannings protect Arch, bro.
Oh, they do. They do. Like that's the Manning media cartel,
When
bro.
you put him in that seat, bro, there's no more protecting.
Nah. It's
You
only
can fluff
so much,
it, and you can
yeah.
use different adjectives to make it seem less harsh or whatever it is.
He's gonna have to perform. And week 2,
I think he can. I think he's got
is it week 1 or week 2? They're heading to Columbus.
2, right? Week 2.
Yeah. We're gonna find out real quick. We're gonna find out.
Julian's gonna have something to say about that.
Yeah. I like. I saw what you did there. I like that. Hey man, this has been a fun episode, man. These are always fun episodes. I feel like we can talk about week 2 Moon Day Confirm. I feel like we can talk about ball all day long. I'm actually after this. I'm gonna get on. My playbook is finished. I don't know if I told you that. I actually got to send you a copy of it. I do have it in PDF form. That's been fun. Extremely fun. I'm gonna take more time because I gotta create a mock game day play call sheet and work on some audibles and hot things at the line of
How many
scrimmage.
plays are in the book?
193 plays.
All offense?
Yeah, it's just offense. I haven't even started defense yet, but defense I'm doing 4-2-5. But yeah, it's all offense.
193 plays on offense. God bless.
Yeah, it's a lot, but the air raid is a simple system. A 92 is a 92, no matter if you're in trips.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's a mesh. You know what I'm saying? So
that's and everybody loves the mesh.
Everybody loves the mesh. Shout out to Hal Mommy. Shout out, God bless the dead. Shout out to Mike Leach who invented this beautiful offense. But I don't rabbit hole often, but when I did the X's and O's shit, I'm a rabbit hole all day. So
there could be at least a dozen different versions of the air raid.
It is.
Like the fear and shoot is somewhat close to that.
It is. The Art Browse. The interesting thing about the Art Browse system, I don't think a lot of people know this. The Art Browse system really is 15 plays, bro. And however you want to run it. That's all it is. You got different formations and shit like that. You know, the air raid isn't a lot of plays either, but like
no, air raid's probably like 25, right?
Yeah,
30 plays, but
and how you want to run it.
Yeah.
So my variation of the air raid is going to have a lot of spread option.
Yeah,
I want to do a threat quarterback. I want to, have orbit motions and jet motions, and I want the fun stuff too, and I want to be able to run the rock. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be completely one dimensional, but
you're not gonna want to bruise it. You're gonna want a speedster, right? So you can counter and draw and all that.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So I think I'm gonna start looking at some coaching stuff like next week. See what happens, but it's gonna be fun. So yeah, defense I'm definitely doing 4-2-5, but I got a lot of studying to do because I didn't really. It's harder to make a defensive playbook than it is offensive.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I think in a huddle the linebacker makes the call, and then I think the strong safety calls the set, and like it's levels to it, bro. So yeah, I'm gonna start on 4-2-5 next week.
Yeah, but the end. Most likely the end, not the end tackle, but the end. We'll check the linebacker if he sees something.
Yeah.
So,
It's a lot of communication in that defense. So I'm gonna have to find a way to simplify it, yet still keep it, organic.
I think you figure it out. It might take a little bit more time, but
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
It's a good one. Another good one in the books, my man.
Yes, sir. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive and advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, y'all already know what it is. One time for the one time. Y'all take care. How y'all out here using these other betting platforms and you're not using the best one? BetUS. Get 125% match bonus on your first deposit using a promo code CFBNation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. That's 125% match bonus using that promo code CFBNation. We know that college football is in the off season. You know we don't believe in it. But there are plenty of things for you guys to sit here and bet on. Who will finish with the most wins in the NBA? Will it be the Oklahoma City Thunder? Or are you feeling the Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka, LeBron, and the Lakers win the play-in tournament? BetUS.
Not an NBA guy? Well, maybe you're a college basketball fan and you want to throw all your money on Auburn or Florida to win the March Madness tournament. Or maybe throw it on Creighton Blue Jays and Ryan Kalkbrenner to lead them to the March Madness tournament. Either way, type in that promo code CFBNation on BetUS and get that money. Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory? Type in that promo code CFBNation at BetUS and get that bag.
You like horses? We know that it's a sports Lollapalooza in May when the Kentucky Derby hits. BetUS got you covered for all the major horse races